talk to you guys about one of the tools, one of the ways that we use while we're teaching our dogs tracking. So we use it during training tracks with them. As most of you know, I'm a big fan of marker systems. And I think that markers are actually a really useful thing that we can use while we're training tracking with our dogs. One of the reasons why I think it's beneficial to use a marker during tracking is because we can decide the precise moment when we want to reinforce our dogs, right? So if we say, like, if we use food or a ball on the track as like a direct reward system, the dogs can give us subpar performance and still happen to stumble across that piece of food or that ball reinforcer along the track. Or let's say we're using it like a jackpot, that food, or even an article at the end of the track, and that's how we reinforce with our tracking. Maybe the dog is performing really good for the first 50% of the track, and that last 50% of the track, their performance starts to become subpar and not as well as they were doing that first 50%. The only option we have to reinforce them has already been predetermined by where we put that article, or we put that food, or we put that ball along the track. If we're using a marker system, we can reinforce them in that first 50%, right? If we're using a whistle, we can blow our whistle. If we're using a verbal marker, we can use our verbal marker, and the dog's able to get instant reinforcement at the moment that we determine as the handlers is the right time to reinforce them, right? I think another example of this is if we have a dog that, kind of blows off a turn, and they're in the negatives, and they come back and get into that track exactly where we want them to be, and they give us a good duration of nose down, really solid tracking behavior. Again, because it's a dynamic situation and we don't know exactly how the dog's going to respond, if we have already put our reinforcers out on the track, that's predetermined locations that they're going to get reinforcement regardless. But if we have our marker, when they blow off that track and they get into negatives, they give us good negative behavior, and then they come back and get into that track and we see a big change in behavior, we can mark that immediately, or mark it with a little bit of duration into that. What I find is that gives us a more pronounced change in behavior in the dog when they get into that back onto that track using markers, because in their mind they're believing, hey, I can get reinforced at any moment now, and it's unpredictable when that reinforcement's coming for them. So I hope that helps explain it. Again, I don't think you exclusively need to use markers only for tracking. I do put food down directly on the tracks. I do use articles on the tracks, but I just think it's another option that someone can add to their toolbox. Using a marker and having a marker system built into your tracking gives you the fluidity to adjust and reinforce based on your dog's performance, and not based on predetermined locations where the reinforcer has already been laid out.